All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle something that, well, a lot of us struggle with, but we all definitely need it. And that is creative conversation. If you've ever felt just a little bit shy, a little awkward in social situations, then this explainer, it's going to be your new best friend.
Okay, picture this. You're at a party, maybe a work event, or hey, even just in the kitchen at work, and that feeling starts to creep in. That little voice that goes, uh-oh, what do I say? How do I even start this, right? If you've ever wished you just had a manual for small talk, trust me, you are not alone. It's something pretty much everyone feels. So let's kick things off with a really powerful idea, and Hemingway just nails it here. We tend to think that being good at conversation means you have to be this amazing talker, always having the perfect thing to say. But what if I told you the real superpower, the secret weapon, is actually listening? Yeah, that simple switch in how we think about it, that's our starting point.
So let's dig in. Why can talking feel so hard sometimes? Well, it usually boils down to a few common mistakes that, honestly, we all make. Let's break them down. This right here, this might be the biggest game changer. So often, conversations just fall flat because we're playing the wrong game. We go in with a competition mindset, right? We're trying to win an argument or impress somebody or just make it all about us. But the real goal, the thing that actually works, is connection. It's about trying to understand, to respect, and to support the other person. And when we're stuck in that competitive mode, it leads to all these classic mistakes. You know what I'm talking about. You're not really listening, you're just waiting for your turn to jump in. Or you hog the spotlight, always one-upping their story with one of your own. Or that need to always be right, Then there's the other side of the coin, firing off questions like an interrogation or the ultimate conversation killer, those one-word answers. Sound familiar? I know I've been guilty of a few of these. See? A great conversation doesn't just happen. It starts way before you even open your mouth. It really begins with your mindset. So let's talk about how to build that confidence from the inside out. Okay, this is one of my absolute favorite mental tricks. It's called assuming rapport. Here's how it works. Instead of seeing a stranger and thinking, oh God, I have to impress them, just pretend you're talking to one of your best friends. Seriously, just imagine it. What happens? Your whole body changes. Your shoulders drop, you smile without even thinking about it. Your voice gets warmer. You basically just bypass all that initial anxiety and jump straight to being relaxed and friendly. It's such a simple shift, but man, it works. And for better listening, here's a super practical tool you can use, the LOVE method, L-O-V-E. First, L, listen, like really listen. O is for observe, pay attention to their body language. Now, V is the magic step. Verify. You check in with them, say something like, so it sounds like what you're saying is, this proves you're engaged and lets them correct you if you got it wrong. And finally, E, evaluate. You put it all together to really get what they mean. It takes listening from just sitting there quietly to actually being an active participant. Let's be honest, half the battle is with that little voice inside our own heads, right? So here are some actual things you can say to yourself to shut it down. Like, okay, what's the absolute worst that can happen? They don't like me, so what? Or reminding yourself, hey, this anxiety, it's just my own thoughts, it's not the actual situation. Or even just, labels don't define me, I am an interesting person. And my personal favorite, promising yourself a reward later, like a quiet night in. That's a total pro move for getting through it. Okay, so once we've got that confident mindset dialed in, it's time to open up the playbook. These are the actual practical plays you can run in your very next conversation. Ready? So your opening play couldn't be simpler. It's called the spotlight shift. All you have to do is make the conversation about them. Think about it. Every single person you meet is the world's #1 expert on one subject, themselves. So ask them about their life, their job, their hobbies. It takes all the pressure off of you, and you're letting them talk about the one thing they know better than anyone else. It's a total win-win. All right, but what about when the spotlight comes back to you? Someone asks, how are you? The absolute worst thing you can say is, fine. It's a dead end. Instead, you've got to give them what we'll call a juicy tidbit. So instead of fine, you say something like, good, thanks. I'm actually getting super excited for my vacation to England. It's my first time in Europe. See? You just gave them like 3 different things they can easily ask about. You're basically handing them the next question on a silver platter. And speaking of travel, get this. A study actually found that you are twice as likely to get a second date if you talk about travel compared to talking about movies. Isn't that wild? But it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Talking about movies can easily turn into a debate, right? A competition of taste. But talking about travel, that's a shared fantasy. You're sharing dreams, positive feelings. It's collaborative, and that good feeling, they start to associate it with you. And this brings us to another power-up, asking meaningful questions. Your main goal here is to avoid any question that can be answered with a simple yes or no. So instead of, do you like this event? Which gets you a yeah, ask, what do you think of this event so far? It's a small change, but it's huge. The second one demands a real answer, an opinion. Your secret weapons here are the words how and what. They are the keys that unlock way, way better conversations. All right, so now you have the mindset and you've got the playbook. But just like anything else, these are just tools in a toolbox. They're only going to work if you actually take them out and use them. It all comes down to practice. So let's bring it all home and circle back to the most important thing we've talked about. If you remember literally just one thing from all of this, please let it be this. The goal is not to win the conversation. It's not to perform. It's not to sound smart. The goal is just to connect. That's it. Human to human. Once you make that your true north, I promise, everything else just gets so much easier. And look, this isn't about becoming some perfect, super smooth talker overnight. That's not realistic. The whole journey just starts with the number one. One new open-ended question. One juicy tidbit offered. One time you decide to really listen instead of just planning what to say next. That's it. That's all it takes to start. So, really, there's only one thing left to do, right? Put it into practice. This isn't just a bunch of theory. These are real tools for your toolbox. So the final question isn't for me to answer, it's for you. Who will you connect with next?